What up, people? How y'all living? I'm living swell. It's your boy, the host with the most that do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another fabulous rendition. And yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things. I'm gonna talk about this TV show that I watched, and I was thoroughly entertained. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's called Man on Fire. So I'm gonna tell y'all something. It is a great, fabulous show. I don't understand why. Yeah, it was a great, fabulous show, and yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're definitely gonna get into it. Uh, First and foremost, this is a season. It's called Man on Fire. Man on Fire is a recent Netflix action thriller series starring, and I'm gonna butcher his name, and you guys know I butcher people's names on a consistent basis, by the way. But anywho, it's an action thriller series starring Yaba Abba as uh, John Creasy, a former special forces mercenary that has PTSD, who seeks revenge after the terrorist bomb in Rio, and it killed his friends and also his family. Uh, and he's also protecting the teenage daughter, Poe. The series is loosely adaptation of AJ novel following Cece as it navigates as conspiracy involving gangs, CIA, the Brazilian government, while battling his own demons. It premiered April the 30th, 2026, and it's on Netflix. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all some key pointers on this series. And by the way, we're gonna go into spoiler alert, okay? Plot: a former mercenary, John Casey, is hired to protect a young girl, Poe, in Rio. After a bombing, he goes on a violent quest for revenge against those who are responsible, but he also uncovers a large conspiracy. Um, so that's basically the introduction to this. It's on Netflix, and when I heard about this, I just happened to turn Netflix on last weekend, and I was saying to myself, let's check out the old Netflix tube and see what we can get into. And I said, yeah, let me go check out what's going on Netflix. And just so happens, um this thing appears. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Hold on, let me see if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, okay, y'all can hear me. Y'all can definitely hear me. So um I happened to see it and I said, "Oh man, okay, Man on Fire." I heard there's a novel on Man on Fire. I haven't read it yet. There's a movie called Man on Fire, and it starred Denzel Washington. I've seen that movie before. Great, great movie. Um, no surprise there. It's got Denzel Washington in it. It was great writing. And I was saying, okay, with these two, you got the creator of the novel with his input. They're tapping into the Man on Fire universe. And this should be this should be a recipe of success. You got the guy, I mean the person, I believe is the guy, the author. He's heavily involved in the creating process of this. I don't know how much input he got, but he had some input. Um, the star of the star uh that who's going to be the lead star on Man on Fire, which just so happened, if you haven't seen Wonder Man yet, I felt like, Wonder Man, first and foremost, I am a comic book fan. And for him to make Wonder Man that impressive, that large, the writing was okay. It had some moments here and there. They had a great cast, but I thought he really brought the very best out of Wonder Man. And if you look at and if you check out, and I'm gonna tap into this comic book thing. Um, Wonder Man is really not a popular character in the Marvel universe. Diehard Marvel comic book fans would know of Wonder Man and the origin of Wonder Man. The origin of Wonder Man wasn't that spectacular. He did start in the comic books in Marvel, and they try to mix him with different groups, different stories. Just things just didn't stick together. Um, Wonder Man, is not a really memorable character. It's not someone that you would idolize. He's not as popular as Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, and he's definitely not as popular. And I know a lot of people are going to give me slack on this. I think Ant-Man is more popular than Wonder Man. Hawkeye is more popular than Wonder Man. Uh, the Black Panther is more popular than Wonder Man. Wonder Man, and I love Wonder Man. I like reading the Wonder Man comic books. But but anywho, the star of Wonder Man, he also stars in Man on Fire. So already you got a decent cast. I think the cast for Wonder Man was a lot better than the cast that you had on Man on Fire, but that's neither here nor there. And but like I said, you got all these elements. You got the character of Man on Fire. You got the Man on Fire universe. You got the author who was heavily involved in creating this character. You got Netflix behind it. So, all in all, this should be a good series. Now, I will say this, and I get scared when they do this, particularly with streaming. I don't like, now it's a love hate thing, what I'm about to say. Uh, like I'm a From guy. I like watching From, but you can only watch From once a week. I'm Walking Dead. I like Walking Dead, but you can only watch The Walking Dead once a week. The Last of Us. I love The Last of Us, but unfortunately, you can only watch it once a week. And I love that format, but I also hate that format. But when you get kind of wary when they drop the whole entire series in in one day, all 7 episodes, and that kind of scares me, because particularly with streaming and how these streaming services go, the longevity of something, that's how they pay their bills, by just dropping it, once a week. So for them to drop the whole entire series on Netflix, I got kind of worried about that, because nothing ever good comes out of a show or a series and you drop all of the episodes at once. Nothing good come out of that. Okay. So that's go again, I was kind of worried about. Okay. But nevertheless, I watched it, and not to spoil anything, I think first and foremost, I felt like the writing was lukewarm. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't Oscar nominated. It wasn't award winning. There was certain parts of this story was very bare bone dry. Sometimes you're uninterested in what's going on, because I felt like they was trying to put so much together. Okay, they were trying to do everything at once. The origin of Casey and what happened to him. Uh, why he has the PTSD. The nightmares that haunt him. But then they also talking about him trying to get himself back together again. One of his friends told him to come to Rio for a job. You get to see the very worst of Casey, but then as the series go on, you got to saw the very best of Casey. Okay, so you got all of that, and to me, the story writing was very lukewarm. Some episodes, you're saying you're scratching your head, going like, okay, why are they going this route? Okay. Also, they didn't really explain. I didn't expect them to go into full detail, but they did. As far as his PTSD, yes, I know something horrible happened with him and his team. I understand that's a trying time for Casey. Okay, so yes, he has PTSD, but they didn't explain what he had to go through, like talk to a shrink. He was, there's moments in the episodes, well, the early episodes, you saw him take his pain regimen, take his pills. He's trying to function on a 9 to 5, and he's struggling with that. Every day you get to see him, and he's getting worse and worse. And to me, that was going so fast, you couldn't really sit back and feel some type of compassion for him, or just feel some type of emotion like, wow, he's going through all this. So they're rushing through all this, you know, and you're saying to yourself, okay, so what, this is like a 3 episode series? Is this a 2 episode? Like, I mean, why are they rushing through this? They should really take their time, particularly in the first episode. And the first episode, you got to see him at his best for like a couple of minutes, and then his team dies, and he sees his team dies, and you see him in the hospital, you see him struggling, you see him going through what he's going through. He's contemplating the S word, okay, which he tried to do that to himself. Unfortunately, he's not that lucky enough to make it happen, and it's sort of like a second chance moment. But all this is happening in one episode, and to me, they should have spread that out some. Like I said, I don't want them to go into full details of his origin, but spread it out some. Make it extend to 2 episodes at least. It would have been great to understand, okay, why this group, why this team, why these people make him you know make him go berserk, particularly when they die right in front of him. Okay, why is this so special? Why are these people so special? Basically, these people are just pawns to the writing to just carry the story on. You don't get no substance out of none of them. You don't know if you just don't know nothing about them, basically. So yeah, I felt like the pacing was on and off, particularly with the first 3 episodes. Okay, so there you have it. So another thing, like I said, storytelling was lukewarm. Um, I think in the storytelling, that's with writing. As far as filming goes, as far as camera angles and visuals, I thought that was okay. That was like above average. I but like the stunt coordinating, the special effects, you know, I felt like they took a back seat on that. Like, they only had enough in the budget to do either one or two things: tell a great story with visuals, or not worry about the story, focus more on the special effects and the stunt coordinating, make this more, bang bang, explosions all over the place. But they only have money for one or the other, and you can tell they spent a lot of money on the writing, the editing, the visuals, But with the writing didn't bring nothing up from the pot. Nothing simmering off the pot makes this memorable, okay? Or you're following along, okay? So I felt like the guns, the explosions, all that stuff was decent, but it's not like you haven't seen this stuff before in other TV shows or in other movies, and it's not like you've seen this anywhere else and they do it better. They do it better everywhere else except here, okay? So it was a missed opportunity. The concept theme of this review is missed opportunities on everything. Um and like I said, uh, you know, it's 7 episodes, and when you start going into he's trying to figure out who killed his friend and his family. He's also protecting the last known person in that family, which is the older daughter. So you got that storyline, him and the daughter, protecting her, trying to find out who killed her parents. Uh, there's layers to this story, like at one point they thought it was terrorism, and then now it's the government. The government is corrupted. Okay, and then he's also fighting his own demons, trying to piece himself back together again. And I felt like it was just way too much stuff and storylines to keep up with. And it'll be one thing if one or a lot of these storylines paid off and it kept you interested throughout the whole presentation, but none of the stuff was very interesting. The writing wasn't very and when I mean writing, I'm not talking about how they wrote it. It's just the story. uh for example, Poe and Casey, their relationship, the daughter and the former CIA agent, the assassin, you know, there was a lot of scenes, particularly in this series, where you didn't see no connection, no chemistry there. And I get it. He's in the beginning, he's trying to piece himself back together again. He's got other things on his plate, trying to figure out who killed her father, this terrorism angle. Now he's finding out that the government is corrupted and all that. So he's got a lot on his plate. He really don't have a lot of time to bond with the daughter. And I felt like they missed a lot of opportunities, at least angling stories between him and the daughter. I thought, wow, that that just writing that itself would, maybe, people that are watching this, they may not be action adventure fans, or suspense fans or mystery fans, but they may be fans of the simple fact that the connection that the daughter and he has. So they missed opportunities badly on these things. So yeah, I felt like they missed a lot of opportunities with that. I also felt like, um, with the writing, as far as the writing, yes, they was trying to tell a story that at one point, the father and the daughter used to be close, but now since they keep moving all around the world, she's, she don't get to hang with make friends, and when she do make friends, she doesn't um stay there long enough to create a friendship there. And to me, I felt like that's a little BS. They're in present day. A lot of these teenagers, they mean they're friends on social media. You know, so they didn't, you know talk about, well, wow, even though you have to move, you still be in contact with them through social media. They didn't even explain that. They just act like it didn't even exist. Social media didn't even exist. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but it would have been nice if they would have wrote something in there like, oh, she doesn't like social media, or his her family is strict, they don't have her on social media, just a reminder of why that couldn't be impossible. Okay, so yeah. Um and also, I felt like they missed an opportunity with the daughter and the father. There was moments where you thought they was going to connect and they would understand one another, but he would say something uh about about them, and she would be mad for a second, but then she comes to the realization that, okay, maybe I am being a little too harsh on him. So she'll look up to try to say something to him or apologize or whatever, and he's already out the room. Okay. I don't think real parents behave that way, particularly when they're trying to get through to their kids, their older kids. Sometimes it takes a while for older kids to start a conversation. They're not robots, and they're not grown adults. So I felt like that scene right there, to me, is just unbelievable to believe. Okay. So I don't want to keep staying on that. It's just they missed on a lot of things. Um like when they when they died, when her family died, he's in the he's talking to the agents, or the agent, the top agent over there in Rio, talking about, hey, she's going to release a statement, but if she um makes a statement, then you guys need to protect her. You need to get her out of here. You need to take her to the United States of America. And I'm thinking to myself, if if these people that you're trying to run away from are that big, just because you go into the United States is not going to solve your problem. And they didn't go into no full details about that. Okay. But it is what it is. So um, you know, you start to see this thing uh, um unfold. You start seeing, okay, now it's bigger than a terrorist angle. Okay. It's bigger than it's bigger than the government is corrupted. Now the president of Rio is corrupted. So they talk about how big this thing is, but they don't go into details of why this thing is so big. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, it just is what it is. Okay, so overall, it's 7 episodes. Would I recommend this? I probably wouldn't. If there was, I feel like this is one of those type of series that you don't need to be in a rush to watch. This is one of those type of series that, late in the summer when there's nothing on and there's nothing on Netflix. Yeah. I mean, go on, break it out, give it, kick the tires around and take it for a drive. I think it's one of those type series. Um, if you are a fan of the movie, if you were a fan of Denzel Washington portraying this character, you know, if, there's nothing in this TV show, that really, if you was a big fan of Man on Fire, the movie with Denzel Washington, to me, there's no connection to Denzel Washington or this movie, or I mean, or this TV show. There's no connection to the movie and the TV show, and it is what it is. You just accept it for what it is, and to me, to me. I think that was a I don't know if that's how they wanted to play their card, saying, well, hey, this is not one for one Man on Fire, the Denzel Washington version. This is our reenactment of Man on Fire. I do feel like if this thing gets greenlit for season two, they need to put more money on the budget. I believe Netflix should uh I think Netflix should talk to the director or whoever owns the IP, the author, and see if they can make this original project for Netflix. With Netflix backing and Netflix money, I feel like Man on Fire season two is going to be a whole lot better than what we got today. I mean, what we got now. Um, I'm not saying don't watch it, but what I am saying is it's not that deep, it's not that serious where you got to hurry up and watch it now. You can literally wait and watch this. Like, like I said, in the summertime when there's really nothing out and you got 6 or 7 hours at home and you're not doing nothing, go ahead and pop this thing. Go ahead and watch this thing on Netflix. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think Netflix is taking it, but hey, it is what it is. But guys, I'm going to end this and let you guys know I'm gonna try to do more and more lives on this channel. I know I haven't been posting anything constantly on this channel. And the reason why is, there's really not a lot to talk about. This was really a channel where I was going to dump all my shorts, where I will have a place where my shorts are dumped. But things have changed. But guys, that's the end. I'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.